Do agree with significa estar de acuerdo con. Por ejemplo, yo estoy de acuerdo contigo, tú estás de acuerdo con él, nosotros estamos de acuerdo con eso. Veámoslo en diferentes contextos.
But if you also, let's bear in mind, I do agree with washing your hands, but if you wash your hands a lot, your hands.
I really do agree with Publius that a great deal of the Constitution.
What I do agree with is that there's some regulations that have outlived their usefulness.
I do agree with you.
I do agree with what you said, David.
Okay. You do agree with that, right?
Well, I'm not sure I have that. I do agree with JJ that, you know.
I do agree with that. Look,
Trump has put forward as the solution. And I do agree with those who have said that basically.
So one thing I do agree with, and I think most experts would, is that the brain does have this
answer. I do agree with Justice Alito that there's something different about VR.
In general, we do agree with that.
That I do agree with.
Well, I mean, I certainly do agree with everything you just said.
Himself a candidate, but I do agree with you. It's something of a.
I do agree with Paul that it's important for countries to engage in diplomacy with each other.
For the record, I do agree with Ben that it's really bad to just call your political opponent mentally ill.
I don't agree with all of it, but I do agree with part of it, and we'll try to talk about that.
Purpose, and I do agree with you. I think we have to be creative.
Say. Now, of course, use it when you do agree with some of the things that the other person said.
That's a great, I do agree with that. And I think some of the ideas that he brought up.
Good thing for the metropolitan area. And I do agree with ending the border war. But
the world is on fire and what we need are comfort reads, which is true. I do agree with that sentence.
One thing that I do agree with Arnold Donald.
But I do agree with you that there are a number of things.
Veamos ahora la expresión do agree en contexto con los pronombres.
All that Booker and Paul do agree on, the need.
But I do agree that things are a mess.
I do agree, though.
He does. Also, let's bear in mind, I do agree with washing your hands, but
creativity, and I do agree. I think we're all creative.
Really do agree on that wherever.
Views about the origins of this crisis, I think we do agree that there is a real.
If you do agree to do something for someone, take action right away.
Energy.
But you do agree,
We agree
it
that
sounds
is
like
a
on
big
net
part.
neutrality, on
Yes.
Senator.
Okay. You do agree with that, right? Now, if you do agree, you can say, we're on the same page. We're on.
Say. Now, of course, use it when you do agree with some of the things that the other person said.
Big benefit. But if you do agree with me here, if you do not want to see this happen.
You do agree with me that we haven't spent enough time.
I can do is, I think all I can do is speak.
You do agree there are bad people out there, right? They're not everybody that's.
You'll at least work with me where you do agree. Actually, Larry and I.
And if you do agree, that shows you don't really accept the personality theory.
There are a few differences. One thing they do agree on is there are going to be interim 2-year studies.
But what they do agree on is a commitment to a smooth and effective transition. That's.
If they do agree to get their hearing evaluated, then it is up to the hearing care professional to
Test. But then there's also this complexity around if they do agree to test.
On anything. But there's actually one thing they do agree on, and we hear it all the time. America is the greatest.